We're joined by Bartłomiej Kot. He's Programme Director at the Warsaw Security Forum and a regular guest at TVP World. Bartłomiej, thank you very much for taking the time.
Hello, I'm delighted to be with you.
Hello and welcome back. So let's start with an overview. What have you seen come out of the meeting which took place yesterday, where Ukrainian Foreign Minister Dmytro Kuleba actually attended of the European Union Foreign Affairs Council?
Well, it is obvious that actually Ukraine is still in our in our attention. This is like the major topic for this kind of meetings still, especially given the fact that the Russian offensive is currently going into the Kharkiv direction. This is something which is the major security concern for all the ministers coming from the European states, and it's actually good that there was also an exchange with the Ukrainian counterparts that actually only boosted the feeling in the ministers that we have to assess the situation in Ukraine. We have to address the situation in Ukraine, not only actually in this short span, but also in the longer span, because a lot of those discussions were also related to the issue of using the extraordinary net profits from the frozen assets. There was also a discussion on how to actually support Ukraine in the longer term. But what is actually quite interesting when it comes to this particular Foreign Affairs Council is the fact that the attention span of the ministers was actually broadened, because not only Ukraine was there as one of the key topics, but also the situation in the Middle East, which actually shows you how much diverse and how much severe the issues are for European Union and its own security. And of course, as much as different situation is there in the Middle East as compared to Ukraine, both issues are to a certain extent intertwined.
And seeing that these stories are intertwined, and also the fact that, for instance, now as one aid might be allocated more to the Middle East, and then because of that now Ukraine might be now in lack of aid as such. Now I'm moving on to the defense ministers meeting that is also taking place. Now I want to ask you about the strategic compass progress, because we are talking now about longer term aid, and here we have this kind of ambiguous term, EU strategic compass, that is aimed at providing a clear political strategic guidance on security and defense for the next 5 to 10 years. And this was also is supposed to be a key topic, but if you could unpack for us the situation, because it doesn't seem clear.
Well, the assessment on the European Union side is it is simply speaking ongoing, but it also is connected very much to how the situation in the near vicinity of our continent is currently developing. So it's hard to establish an important long-term security agenda. Whereas actually at the same time the conflicts that are in our very close geographic proximity are arising. So I guess that in order to discuss the details of it, we will have to wait. It is good actually that the strategic approach is there, because there was always actually a huge ambition on the European Union side to play the role of a global player, global actor. That was one of the key messages from the Ursula von der Leyen's presidency when actually she was elected to become the European Union Commission president. We could, of course, question whether the Commission succeeded in achieving that progress. But as much as our hearts and minds are focused, of course, on Ukraine and the future possible EU policy on Russia, we should also take into account that we are experiencing huge security concerns in the Black Sea region that are also very connected to the security of Bulgaria, of Romania. This is not only Ukraine, actually. But something which, in my opinion, especially in Poland, skips our attention, which is actually the current situation in the Balkans, with the Serbian approach towards countries such as Bosnia and Herzegovina, or actually Montenegro. And of course migration, etc., etc. There's a lot of subjects that the EU has to assess right now. And the long-term strategic approach towards these elements would be, of course, the basis of the compass. Those documents, they arise from time to time. The thing is that, of course, we're living through the times where the span of those documents should not be too long, because they simply become outdated.
Yeah, Bartłomiej, there's, I mean, what you just said aligns precisely with President Macron's recent speech, calling for a more muscular European Union which has a voice in global matters. Simply, one of the things he said was, we can't rely on the US to protect Europe forever. So that makes sense. Now, as part of that more muscular approach, one thing that Dmytro Kuleba asked for was the use of the $300 billion of frozen Russian assets to be used to rebuild Ukraine. What do you think that that the Council, the EU Council, is likely to move forward on that issue?
Well, the discussions are there for months already. What has been agreed is, of course, the right now the extraordinary net profits, which is, let's be honest, a fraction of what is possible to defreeze in order to support Ukraine with this money. Of course, the current situation in the US, the fact how long it took for the Congress to move on with the supplemental. Those are only the arguments also for the European policymakers to be more bold, to be more active in terms of defreezing those assets for the Ukrainians' sake. Let me put it that way. But on the other hand, there is also a lot of arguments that are connected very much to the financial stability of the European Union. Given the fact that most of those assets are, of course, frozen in the EU, we don't know how much of it, because this is actually kept secret. But this is not only EU. This is also US. This is also probably Japan and other countries that hold those currencies in which the assets are kept. In order actually so that the European Union economy would not be harmed by defreezing the assets, it would be profitable for all these countries to act collectively and to do it at the same time. This is one of the arguments that's being raised. So it has to be done in the coordination with the US, where actually the support for this action is, in my opinion, more clear. It's clearer than in Europe right now. But it has to also be coordinated with Japan, for example. I guess that there is a rising political will to do it. And as much as we understand that we have to come with support to Ukraine in longer term, not only by some short-term solutions, projects, etc., there will be a rising also political support to defreeze the huge package of money that is there in our banks, and to do it, of course, for the Ukrainian sake, in order to support Ukrainian military, but also Ukrainian state that is in desperate need of financial support.
Right, so I feel like one thing is certain here is that European Union is now maturing and that it aspires for more, which we clearly see during these meetings. But Bartłomiej Kot, thank you so much for joining us and providing your insights.
Bye.
Thank you.